I'll bet this becomes the thing that we put at the very beginning, but my computer might die at some point during the
Oh,
course of this. So, and I don't have my charger,
sweet. Okay.
so I
Well,
might have to jump on my phone for the guest.
that's just fine.
Okay.
Let's We welcome you to week 9 of Wilk and Wist, your weekly update on Utah athletes in the National Football League. We like to highlight the fans as well. Probably highlighting our biggest fan, if I'm being honest. And keep in mind, not fan of the show, but fan of their particular team. I don't know of anyone
Ah,
we've had on the show that has been to 4 games to cheer on their team in 4 different stadiums, including 3 in the last 3 weeks. Uh, It'll be an impressive thing to talk about today. So let's jump
I'm ready
into
for
it.
it.
Let's jump into it, Cole. Tyler Algier, the only touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons last week. 4 carries, 4 yards, did get in the end zone. Kind of like red zone. If a guy's going to score, even if he doesn't have a very good game, we're still going to show it to you. We're still going to talk
Every
about it.
Utah touchdown from every Utah game. Yeah,
That's right.
we'll take it. Also in the Atlanta game, you had Caden Ellis getting 12 tackles, 2 of them tackled for losses, and had a pass breakup. The Atlanta defense is a team that I went and streamed in fantasy a little bit, and that was the wrong decision. They'd been very good. Caden Ellis, a big part of the young core that's making Atlanta very good right now, but didn't come together against Miami.
No. Ryan Rico, 3 punts, 174 yards, has 65-yard punts. But the Bengals lose to the Jets on a Brees Hall touchdown pass.
Yes.
Pass. Play Brees
Do you
and
think they're still
guillotine lead.
shopping Brees Hall after he's the reason you have one win?
No. By the way, only one quarterback in the NFL has not thrown an interception this year. Like out of the consistent starters, and it's Justin Fields. Like, how is that possible? Like,
There
you
you
want to talk
go.
about the most random stat on planet Earth? Anyway,
Jackson Dart has thrown an interception this year, but not this game. He had 14 of 24 for 193, threw a touchdown, 6 carries for 17 yards, and ran for a touchdown, but the Giants come up short.
Mitch Wishnowsky for the Bills had a good punting day, even though Buffalo put 40 on the Carolina Panthers. 3 punts, a buck 46, 2 downed inside the 20, and had a long of 56 yards.
Tyler Huntley. We get the Snoop Huntley reference again on our podcast, former Pro Bowler, 17 of 22, 186, a touchdown, had 8 carries, 53 yards on the ground, and got the Ravens the win, something that Cooper Rush could not do.
By the way, Zach Wilson took a snap, I think, in the Miami game at the very end. So you had Zach Wilson, Jackson Dart, Tyler Huntley, Jordan Love, and I think Taysom Hill had at least one direct snap to him in the same. You had
That would
5
make sense.
Utah connection guys take direct snaps, take snaps from a center this week. Which is kind of
You
cool.
love to see it. We're
Yeah.
back. We're back to the golden age of Utah providing quarterbacks.
Alohi Gilman for the Ravens, 5 tackles and a pass breakup. As mentioned, Baltimore got back on track. And who'd they do it against, Cole?
They beat Noah Sewell's Bears, and he put up 5 tackles in that same game.
The Saints lost again. Rashid Shaheed
Shocking.
played pretty well, though. 9 catches, 75 yards. Did have a fumble lost that ended up, potentially costing them some points. It wasn't the only thing that cost the Saints
They would
points,
have
though.
needed a few more points than
Yeah.
that, though, to catch up.
Yeah.
I love that you put in Garrett Bowles. I was listening to a podcast today about best offensive line play in the NFL so far this year, and Garrett Bowles' name gets mentioned in that conversation. Also, Denver put up 44 on Dallas because it's Dallas and their defense is the worst in the league, but a Denver offense that could really use some good news. Their offensive line has been playing very well, but it's been shaky otherwise. Garrett Bowles a big part of 44 points and did not allow a sack either. Not that
And
Dallas is really getting after the quarterback.
I should have put how many rushing yards they had, too, because they ran all over Dallas. Over 100 yards for J.K. Dobbins. R.J. Harvey had a long run and scored 2 touchdowns in the game, which I've had to start him in a couple fantasy leagues because I drafted him way too high, and then I'm so depleted at running back.
Oh, yeah.
that
And
I've
injuries, and last week, especially with the buys.
Yeah. Well, this is just going to be our MVP of the week. There's the way this coincides with everything. There's zero question Jordan Love was the best player. Any other week, Garrett Bowles probably wins this week for me, but Jordan Love goes 29 of 37. At one point, completed 20
20 of
consecutive
20.
passes,
Yeah.
360 yards, three touchdowns, beats his old mentor and former Packer quarterback Aaron Rodgers on the road. Uh, let's just call it what it is, Cole. He's going to be the player of the week, no questions about it.
Oh, and he's got my vote. I was watching that game with larger intent than usual because of who they were going up against. Also on the Packers side, Zane Anderson recovered a fumble. And then on the Pittsburgh side, Jalen Warren, 13 carries for 62 yards was pretty good. I think that the Pittsburgh backs talk about Breece Hall being in trade rumors, right? That's Pittsburgh has been a rumored destination for that. We just got rid of an overpaid running back. We don't want to bring another running back in that you're going to have to pay. The Pittsburgh running game is fine. It's somehow the defense that was truly unable to stop Jordan Love.
Talk about a defense that hasn't been great in the Washington Commanders, but they can't score either. Bobby Wagner is still doing his thing, though. 10 tackles. Did pick off Patrick. I mean, they forced two Patrick Mahomes interceptions, but our good friend Jackson Payne unable to see his. He was there, unable to see his Commanders get a win.
Watching another Marcus Mariota game.
Yeah, how about it? Well, Cole, Jordan Love. We'll talk about this with our guests, but you know, I remember at one point as a Jazz fan, it was during the dark days and before
As opposed to
now,
these dark
as
days?
opposed
Yeah.
to now. I mean, it was darker then. It really was. Like people who complain about it, the Jazz to me now, I said, were you a fan in 2011, 2012 when there was
Mm.
even less direction than there is now and even less young talent than there is now? The Jazz traded Darren Williams away, similar to Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, right? Got a bunch of draft picks, some young players, and then an old vet in Devin Harris. I shouldn't say old, but he was only a year older than Darren Williams. Devin Harris, who was kind of past his prime. Uh, and I remember Dallas, the Jazz taking on the Mavericks and the Nets, Harris's two old teams in like a back-to-back type situation. You know, that was within a couple. And everyone
Yeah.
talked about how important it would be for Devin to play well against his old team or against the guy he was traded for, or the guy, and he didn't, and it kind of tanked the rest of his time as a player for the Jazz. He was not great.
Yeah.
The opposite could happen with Jordan Love now, right? How big of a game would it have been for Rodgers to beat his old team? How big was it? You can argue it both ways, right? Well, Cole, our guest today has already been to four Green Bay Packer games this year in four different locations, including three in the last 3 weeks. We
Let's go.
welcome Go Pack Go as we welcome our guest. We teased that he was the biggest fan to join the show, and when we say that, we mean not fan of the show, fan of his team, though. Colby Wilkinson joins the program once again. Appreciate you hopping on with us.
Thanks, good to be here. And I'm getting there for fan of Wilk and Wiss as well. So
I was going to say, you're implying he's not a fan of the show, which I don't
Yeah,
want to put words in his mouth, but
that
I feel like he is.
that's probably wrong on my end. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, all the Wilks are fans of Wilk and Wiss. So, needless to say, well, tell us a little bit. You've been to four stadiums this year now, three in the last 3 weeks. Highlights of these stadiums. You've obviously already been to Lambeau before, but that was part of this. Highlights and maybe even some lowlights, if you will, as far as stadium.
yeah, first game was Cleveland. We don't really need to discuss that one too much. I
Joe
will say
Flacco wasn't the highlight of your little tour that you're going around?
that was the low light for sure. But honestly, Cleveland fans were super nice. They understood the way we lost. They've been through a lot of that, so they were pretty empathetic. I'm not gonna lie. And it was a nice stadium. Not much to do in Cleveland. I drove up Saturday about 8 hours, and then I drove home after the game Sunday. We don't need to talk about Cleveland. Lambeau, I did discuss Lambeau on last season of Wilk and Wiss. If you want to go back last season, greatest sports stadium in the world. We don't need to talk about that too much. I did take my mom to that game. At least one Wilkinson son is stepping up the game.
Oh boy. Well, it's funny because I got a text about that later on that apparently a trip's happening now. Because you want to talk about stepping up? I'm the one who's never gone on a solo trip with mom before. You and Braden have.
Ooh.
So anyway, that's getting made up for. That could be a whole other show. Ranking favorites, right? Uh, obviously, yeah, Lambeau Surprise trip to Arizona, though. I thought I was cool sending that I was going to BYU basketball in Vegas, and in the family group chat instead, you have Cardinal tickets. You've been to State Farm Stadium before, though, just to watch basketball, to watch the Final Four. Big difference, though, having been there for football.
For sure, yeah, that was definitely a last minute one. I bought tickets right after they lost to the Titans.
Yeah.
Um, I have a goal to visit all 30 NFL stadiums. I'm actually trying to do 32. I'm going to the Giants and Jets and then Chargers and Rams, but the opportunity came up. I got
I mean,
rolled
really, the
money.
31st stadium is Wembley or Tottenham, or you gotta go overseas to get to the 32 stadiums.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Packers do play. They'll probably play in London next year. So we'll have to check that out. But State Farm was great. It's a great stadium. It looks like a toilet bowl from the outside. Honestly, I don't like the way it looks from the outside, but inside it's super nice. It was like 80% Packers fans. So,
That does not that's the
um,
least surprising thing I think I've ever heard as a Cardinals fan. But
yeah, I was excited to join this show going to Arizona and then to Pittsburgh, both of your guys' teams, and
Yeah.
I won't rub it in too much. I mean, I was blown away by Pittsburgh, honestly. Everyone was like insanely nice and welcoming, and I'm like, how is this in the same state as Philadelphia?
That's what I'm saying.
there's a literal bit about that in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where one of the characters, it's more of him just being stupid, but he genuinely is like, but guys, Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. How is
Am I
Pittsburgh
going in
also?
and out of Pittsburgh all day long?
I'll have to send that to you after because yeah, I saw that clip a week ago. Oh, you also had access. You paid a little extra, right, to get like a an access to the field before the game. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so Acrisure Stadium, can I call it that, Wis, or is it still Heinz Field to
You
you?
were on Heinz Field. That's the important part. It's
Okay.
Heinz Field at Acrisure Stadium.
Okay. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah, so they do, it's a VIP game day stadium tour. Um, and it was pretty limited, so I booked like right as they announced Rodgers signing in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Um, and I think it sold out that day. But yeah, it was cool. You go through like the Steelers museum, which is kind of just a knockoff of the Packers museum, I'll be honest.
Which I mean, I don't know, but
They
what has
like
more
copied it
Lombardis
like
in it? I would
pretty
have to ask.
much. We have more world championships in ours, so. And okay, Pittsburgh's like Lombardies were plastic. They looked terrible at the stadium. If you go to Lambeau, there's this huge Lombardi, way better at Lambeau. But anyways, the stadium tour was like okay, but getting on the field before the game was really cool, and that was when Rodgers was out there warming up, so he's right across me, zipping some passes. He came to the Packers bench and was talking with like John Coon. So that was really cool to be on the field when that happened.
Let's talk about the actual game. Jordan Love had that's got to be the best game of his career, right? Like given the circumstances, given the talk about it, going all the way back to when he was drafted. I still, to this day, don't think I've ever been more shocked by an NFL draft pick. I mean, it was during COVID. There was nothing else on. There was no other sports to talk about. So we were all in on the draft. How important was it that Jordan had that kind of game against his old mentor and just with the whole narrative leading up to that?
I think it put a lot of doubts to rest for the fans. For the casual fan, I would say if you're a diehard Packer fan, you've known for the past 2 years that they made the right decision moving on from Rodgers and getting Love. I was convinced when Love had that run to the playoffs where he beat Dallas, destroyed them, and that game against Dallas was probably his best game. I would say this game against Pittsburgh was his second best. But I think it just shows how cool, calm, and collected Jordan is. He doesn't get rattled by anything. He can throw a terrible pick one play, and then the next play he'll come out and do exactly what he needs to do. He's always kind of had that, and I think he was able to show that to the casual NFL fan on the biggest stage.
Yeah, it was important to happen in prime time, and the Dallas game in the playoffs was the Packers making that surprise. But Jordan Love carving up a Steelers defense that is not as good as we probably hoped it would be in the preseason, but it has been bad. He proved exactly where you can attack them and diced them up against Aaron Rodgers. It really was a big deal. And I think everyone on this show Tanner, you and I did decent in our picks last week, but everyone picked Aaron Rodgers to get that win, and it did not happen.
I picked Green Bay.
You
Pretty
went
sure.
back. Okay, so it was just me and Doss that picked.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I picked
All
Green
right.
Bay. If I remember right, I had a feeling.
You did, yeah, I watched. I mentioned earlier I was a fan of the show. I did watch, and you did pick Green Bay.
Gotcha.
All right, let's get into the picks. Again, how do you have what Doss did last week, even though your laptop
It
lists?
was it was not 10-5. I'll tell you that.
So Seth Jenkins is still the man to beat.
That's right.
And 10-5 is very beatable. We'll say that. I don't think there's a ton of buys this week. Not as many as last. I mean, everyone was scrambling in fantasy last week. If you got through your fantasy week last week with the amount of buys, you're feeling pretty good. But let's start with Thursday Night Football. Baltimore is at Miami. Uh, the Ravens look a lot better even after the bye week without Lamar. They finally got rid of or quit playing Cooper Rush because what was that all about? Why would you sign a guy like Cooper Rush when Lamar's your quarterback? Miami looked better last week. Do I think the Dolphins do it 2 weeks in a row? I don't. I don't think this spread should be as heavy as it is with Baltimore at 7.5, even with Lamar back. I would take the under on the spread, but I still think Baltimore wins the game.
See, if I was a betting man, I would hope that the spread could have gotten a little closer because of Miami handling business last week, but really I would be taking Baltimore and the points. Like I think that they crushed this game. Even so Lamar surprise doesn't play last week, and now it's a short week coming up to this. Like is Lamar still healthy? Are we gonna get Snoop Huntley versus Zach Wilson? Are we gonna like what's the narrative gonna be? But I take Baltimore.
Ooh. Um, I mean, I'm still not convinced on Baltimore beating Chicago doesn't really say much to me. But I can't pick the Dolphins, so I'm going Baltimore.
Chicago is in Cincinnati. Somehow the Bengals collapsed last week, and the Bears just didn't play well. I'm going to take the Bengals. Like, I think Chicago's starting to see a little bit more, and Cole's going to rail me for this because I always pick the Bengals when it seems like you should not pick the Bengals.
That's all right. I picked the Jets whenever we shouldn't pick the Jets, but turns out last week we should have. So
I'm taking Cincinnati.
I'm going to take Chicago. I think Ben Johnson learns a little bit from what happened last week. They're still figuring things out in year one of that regime.
I saw Joe Flacco's questionable. And I think if Flacco plays, the Bengals will win. Um, yeah, well, I can't pick the Bears. We'll ride with the Bengals.
Well, you're going to have to pick one of these two teams. Minnesota is at Detroit. If we're continuing the NFC North trend, Carson Wentz now out for the year. It's going to be J.J. McCarthy. Is he healthy? I kind of am questioning that. As much as I love Kevin O'Connell as a head coach, I love Dan Campbell more. I think all four coaches in that division are fantastic. I'm going to take Detroit, though. Minnesota's just not right.
Detroit's an easy pick, and that soft benching of J.J. McCarthy didn't last too long, did it?
But before I go ahead and pick Detroit, I need to explain why we should hate them.
You're not going to
Um,
convince us. Like
okay.
we are both very pro
Yeah,
Dan
the
Campbell.
most likable team in the NFL in 2025. Why should we hate them? Go ahead.
Okay. They have the two biggest dirtbags at safety. Brian Branch averages every other game an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. He acts like a baby, gets kicked out, and then the whole Lions team cries and rallies and plays the victim when they're the ones. And then we've got Kirby Kneecap Joseph, who's purposefully
You are
hurt
not going to
two tight
convince me
ends.
to hate the Lions more than the Chiefs in that little altercation.
Yes, I rooted for the Chiefs pretty hard.
Oh boy, that doesn't surprise me, right? It's division lines, but like Juju instigated that whole thing.
Yeah,
Should Brian
I'm
have
familiar
reacted?
with what Juju does.
Should Brian have reacted that way? Absolutely not. Like that was still right. I'm not trying to justify what he did, but like Juju's kind
If
of
you're
a
just gonna get a
turd.
fine, like he's a rich man, I think he can react however he wants.
Yeah, but he can also get suspended and cry about getting suspended, which he clearly should have. You can't punch a guy in the face after the game, and not be suspended. And honestly, Amon-Ra is just, I won't even get into it. If I'm ever being tortured and the options are to be waterboarded or listen to his podcast, like I will take the waterboarding. Um, but the Lions are going to beat the Vikings this week. We'll leave it at that.
All right. Let's keep the North going. Carolina is at Green Bay. The Packers only have one more win than the Panthers because of a tie, and they've had their bye week. And yet Green Bay is a
That's
13 and a
more
half.
insulting than anything we could cook up during the course of this.
Well, Green Bay's a 13 and a half point favorite. Like that's where I was
Yeah.
going with that. Like they're clearly a 13 and a half point favorite, regardless of who plays quarterback this week. It's not going to be Andy Dalton, I don't think.
I
Uh,
mean, regardless who plays quarterback for Green Bay, they'd be a 13
yeah,
and a half favorite. So I'm
that's
going
a,
to take Green Bay.
yeah, no, Green Bay is going to beat Carolina. Our grandpa thought the game was in North Carolina, which I thought was really funny because he told my brother he'd have his shortest trip yet. I had to put that in there but this game is at Lambeau. Green Bay wins big.
Yeah, I did see Bryce Young was a full participant in practice, but that does not matter. They're not going to lose at home.
Chargers are in Tennessee. Uh, this might be the one time this year the Chargers have more fans at a game. Even though it's in Nashville. Boy, the Titans are bad. The Chargers looked better last week, and they've had kind of a mini bye where they played on Thursday night. So I'm going to take the Chargers. They're a little more rested up for this one.
Yeah, I was going down through this list before we hit record on the podcast, trying to find where my weird upsets are going to be. I normally have a good feel for it, but this week's been tough, and I take the Chargers as well.
Yeah, I can't pick the Titans this year. I feel like we picked all the same teams so far, but yeah,
Chicago and Cincinnati is different with
yeah,
Cole.
okay.
Cole took Chicago. Otherwise, yeah, we've been pretty steady. Might start to get a little more interesting here. Atlanta is at New England. Uh, Only a 4.5 point spread. The Falcons are kind of an every other week team. The Patriots are not. The Patriots are for real. They're looking to upgrade at the trade deadline potentially. Drake May's the guy. I think he's the best quarterback out of that rookie class at this point. I know people are going to argue, well, Jaden Daniels isn't healthy. Well, that's part of the argument.
Yeah.
People are going to argue Bo Nix. That's great. I still think that's my opinion. I think Drake May is better, and I'm going to go New England wins again this week.
So I am going to take Atlanta because just because that pass rush took last week off doesn't mean that they won't be able to do nasty things to this New England offensive line. That is like they're playing above where the expectations were, but the expectations were in the basement. And so, yeah, they are a good performing unit, and Drake May makes it easy on his offensive line. But Myles Garrett got after these guys last week, and Atlanta, probably doesn't lose two of these weird ones in a row.
I have no idea what to make of the Falcons. I don't think anybody does, but I'll ride with Drake, man. I mean the Patriots.
Also, we didn't even mention he's going up against another guy from that draft class that we don't even talk about as part of it, Michael Penix. Penix is fine, but yeah, he's not in that stratosphere either.
San Francisco at the New York Giants, two of the most banged up teams in football. I'm going to take the Giants. This is kind of my like upset of the week ish, even though it's just a 2.5 point spread for the Niners. I think there's some rallying that goes on after the Scattaboo injury. There's some emotion that gets played there. Tyrone Tracy's still a good back. Like he's proven
Yeah.
he's an above average running back in the NFL. The only reason he wasn't playing was because Scatabo was playing so well after he got hurt. So I like the Giants this week. I think there's some emotional rallying that goes on.
I take the Giants too. And San Francisco, I think they still are going to be clawing and going to be annoying around that playoff chase, but the NFC has just gotten so deep of late that they can't be this. You'd think injury luck would just go the other way 2 years in a row, and yet it's been worse this year. Just tough luck for Shanahan.
Yeah, I'm an emotional picker if you haven't noticed already, so give me the Giants.
Colts are in Pittsburgh. This is a really fascinating one. Are the
Is
Colts?
it the most efficient offense that we have seen since 2018 Chiefs going up against a Pittsburgh defense that is stagnant and just letting you have whatever you want underneath? The Colts might make this look embarrassing enough that Pittsburgh has to make another midseason change at coordinator. We saw Matt Canada go a couple years ago because things were so bad. I think this is in that territory with
Ooh.
how the defense has been with Terrell Austin.
So are you taking Indy?
I take Indy by a lot.
Okay, I'm going to take the Colts as well. I think it's closer than maybe Cole's given his own team credit for, but I am going to take the Colts.
The Steelers actually did a really good job of taking away Josh Jacobs, and he's no Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor. But I think, Aaron Rodgers is used to having terrible defenses, and I think this is the week he pulls one out.
Denver is at Houston. Houston's favored now in this game. This line's moved a lot back and forth this week, but that offensive line is still so bad, and that pass rush is so good in Denver.
Exactly.
Like
We're
how? Like it's Denver's got to win this game, right? Like just on that alone. So I'm taking the Broncos.
we are not breaking any new ground. If there is a single podcast in America that is not talking about the fact that it is the best pass rush in the league versus the worst pass protecting unit in the league, I'm fine picking on just that alone. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we'll see more defensive touchdowns than offensive touchdowns this game, but give me the Broncos.
Jacksonville makes the trip out to Vegas. Both teams are coming off of byes. Uh, I'm going to take Vegas. Like, why the heck not? They're both coming off a bye. Jacksonville's definitely punched, I think, above their weight this season, even though they're just 4-3. I'm going to just take the Raiders. I feel like that's a game, Allegiant's kind of been known for these newer stadiums are kind of known for having more opposing fans, right? In some of these locations. I don't think you're going to have more Jag fans than you are Raiders fans this week. So, uh, if I'm going to Vegas Monday for a basketball game, I kind of wish I had timed it so I could have gone down to potentially this on Sunday, but I got to work Monday morning, so not going to happen. But I'm taking the Raiders.
Yeah, I take the Jags. I think that bye came at the right time for a Jags team that started to slump and started to get figured out. Give Liam Cohen a week, and he's going to have the Raiders defense spinning. And also, this was a team, the Jags were getting the most turnover. They were on a historic pace getting turnovers early in the season. And the regression came a little bit, but Gino's just the guy to go against to help you turn that around.
Bowers is back, by the way, and that's a big factor. I didn't mention that's a big
Doesn't
factor
move
for
me.
me.
Yeah, I'm picking Jacksonville. I watched the Raiders Bears game for some reason, and I cannot possibly root for Geno Smith anymore.
Let's go New Orleans, making the trip out to LA, taking on the Rams. Rams biggest favorite of the week, 14 and a half points on New Orleans. Quarterback change with the Saints. Uh, Rams are coming off McVay off a bye, man. Puka's healthy. Devontae Adams is healthy. That defense, all those young guys got rested up. They're going to be fresh. Like, yeah, give me the Rams.
2 weeks ago, all the scuttlebutt was that the Saints don't even need to get a quarterback in this year's draft because Spencer Rattler was playing so well, and now all of a sudden, Shuck is the guy after a couple weak weeks. I take the Rams also. There's not a lot to say there.
Give me the Rams. I don't, yeah.
All righty. Big one for Sunday afternoon, Kansas City at Buffalo. Bills fans are nervous about this, the way Kansas City's been playing. And while Buffalo dominated the Panthers, they were supposed to. There's still some holes, injuries in Buffalo too. Their safety spots are really banged up. Their defensive line took a big hit this week. I'm going to take the Bills though. It's at home. We don't talk about home field advantage too much in the NFL, but that is one place that will make a difference. And it's a regular season game. Josh has been able to beat Patrick in the regular season, so I'm going to take the Bills at home.
But I think that might get under Patrick Mahomes' skin. There's not a unit playing better right now than the Chiefs' offense. Spags is figuring some stuff out. They just have to slow down Buffalo a little bit, and Buffalo is not rallying and tackling very well. Like the core, the center line of that defense, safeties included, but up through the linebackers, is not playing well enough to go up against now Rashee Rice coming back, being the best underneath and yards after catch guy in the league. Rashee Rice could go for 150 and 2 touchdowns in this game, and I'm going to take the Chiefs. I love the narrative that like Josh Allen keeps winning in the regular season, but Pat gets in the postseason. I just think it turns around.
Yeah, definitely the game of the week. I hate to say it, but I am very scared of the Chiefs, and I'm afraid they're gonna get this win as well.
Seattle and Washington on Sunday Night Football. If you would have told me that, Washington's 3-5, but Seattle's 5-2, That would have raised some eyebrows at the beginning of the season. I didn't think Seattle was bad necessarily, but there was just a lot of unknowns, right? Uh, Jaden Daniels is going to play for the Commanders in this game, and even though Seattle's coming off a bye, I like Washington with Daniels coming back. How healthy is he though? That's the big question. I'm taking the risk, and I'm going to take the Commanders.
So Seattle is as good as I hoped that they would be whenever I picked them into the playoffs, but their defense hasn't quite been. And so where Seattle's weak in their defense, I think that Jane Daniels specifically can take advantage of. As soon as you turn your back, he runs very well. And even coming off the injury, he's just been very precise as well when he's been in the game. I take Washington too.
I think I'm gonna go Seattle. As a Packers fan, I was so relieved getting Sam Darnold out of our division, which sounds crazy, but look at how bad the Vikings are now, and he's doing really well in Seattle, so I'm taking them.
Monday Night Football. As someone who's a Cardinals fan, completely forgot they were playing on Monday night when he bought his tickets to go see BYU play Villanova in Vegas. I'll probably watch this on my phone while I'm at Florida, Arizona, at T-Mobile Arena down there. Phew, boy. You know what? I'm just going to take the Cards. Why the heck not? Like, they're coming off a bye. Dallas didn't play great last week. Jerry's mad. There's always something going on in that locker room in Dallas. I think Jonathan Gannon's a good enough coach to get this team ready to win a game after a bye, which, most coaches are good enough to do that, but we'll see. I'm going to take Arizona though.
I mean, the Cardinals' problem has been them collapsing down the stretch. I'm not sure if Dallas's offense gives the Cardinals defense a chance to get in prevent at any time. And so if Jonathan Gannon's like calling a normal defense for the whole game, maybe they accidentally end up playing better throughout the whole 60 minutes and they get the win. This was, I think, the biggest upset that I was expecting. And I also picked the Cardinals.
I'm gonna pick Arizona as well. I think just with how bad Dallas's defense is, I see a big game from Trey McBride, and the Cardinals finally win a close game.
We're all supporting you, Tanner. How about that?
No, thanks. It's funny. In our group chat, our friend Jacob Habel, aka Great Value Jack Harlow, friend of the show, sent me and Cole a thing that said it was like they took all four major sports leagues in North America and ranked the teams based on win percentage over the last 5 years. So they clumped one team from each league together. And I thought, oh, that's depressing. The Jazz are at like 24, 25, something like that. And then I looked down and Arizona's sitting at 27. And I'm
Even lower.
like, just remember, it could be worse, Jazz fans. You could also root for the Arizona Cardinals on top of it.
Yeah.
But I will say this, for people who don't know, and most people who know me know, but some people have said, oh, it must suck that the Cardinals are bad. My college football team is undefeated and just beat their rival and keep finding ways to win close games. I will take, as much as I love the NFL as a whole more than I love college football. But yeah, when it gets down to like the nitty gritty, like Colby would always you would always take the Packers over any of your other fandoms, right? It's fair to
Yeah.
say. Our other brother would always pick Carolina basketball over anything else. Like,
Yeah, we all have our hierarchy.
I'm okay. I'm okay that the Cardinals stink because like as long as some other teams are doing good, it works out. Well, we'll see if the emotional picking gets you the $25 Amazon gift card. This is a funky week. There's a couple there's some really easy matchups that we could get wrong, and there's some really wonky ones that yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think with just like the parity in the NFL this year is it's really fun. I think the kickoff has played a big part in that, changing the kicking balls. Like you get it at the 35, you need what, 10, 20 yards and you're in field goal range. I as a Packers fan, I kind of don't enjoy it just with how bad our special teams is, but I think as a whole it's been fun for the NFL.
it's been a surprise because I was pretty against it at first, but like and Chad Ryland can't seem to figure out how to kick the ball into the landing zone. It's been twice now in critical
Yeah.
situations. He hasn't been able to figure out. But I like your point. And yeah, it has been. This is the most parity I've seen in the NFL. And we've sensed that coming, right? Like we've kind of seen, even though Kansas City's been dominant and keeps getting to Super Bowls, like the regular season has had a lot of parity. And I feel like this is the year that we really could see just a wild, no idea who's going to go to the Super Bowl postseason. So
Yep.
do the
The best
Ravens
version of the NFL.
do the Ravens come all the way back? Given that division, like it is more than possible that a team that started 1-5 gets a postseason spot this year, which is just
Oh,
crazy.
I would still dare say likely that the Ravens get there.
It's not to talk about me being a negative Cardinal fan.
There's
Cole's going through some stuff right now, folks. That we'll leave it at that.
I still enjoy it, but man, this is the worst Steelers defense I've seen since some of those like Ben Antonio Brown, like that era Steelers.
Well,
Yeah, you might get to run the table with Rodgers though. You never know. Like you have Aaron Rodgers. I know he's old, but he's had some moments like that with worse defenses. So
That's right.
well, Cole, we appreciate you taking time out. This was one we had circled the moment we found out you were going to Pittsburgh. I love when I have a week where I don't have to scramble to find a guest. You've been penned in for a while, sharpied in, if you will, and appreciate you sharing your experiences as a Packer fan and as a brother. I just want to say how freaking cool it is that you get to go do this with your life, and not to get emotional or sentimental or anything like that, but it makes me proud. It's fun to brag about. It's fun to show people, So way to be, and let's get me out to a game at Lambeau at some point.
for sure, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Cole, glad your phone wasn't dead.
That's
That
right.
we got through the episode
I
at
love
the
the
end of the day.
Wilk and Wisses. They're some of my favorites.
They are always good. Colby's not going to like when we have the next Wilk on because there's going to be some Philadelphia talk. But yeah, somehow in our family we thought no one would hate Duke more or hate a team more than Braden hates Duke. Colby might hate the Eagles more, and that's saying something. So
I
Cole,
know I
appreciate.
was mad they had a bye because I couldn't pick against them this week.
Well, Cole, always appreciate you as well, my man.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your Halloween. I know this is a fun month for you. Enjoy your Halloween tomorrow. So
Thank you.
we'll see
The
if these
best month of the year.
we'll see if these games get spooky over the weekend. Appreciate you tuning in. Please subscribe on our YouTube channel, and we'll catch up with you next week. This has been Wilk and Wish, your weekly update on Utah athletes in the National Football League, and we want to talk about you, the fan.